Tonight, Donald Trump takes another jab at Canada.
Donald Trump keeps talking on social media about making Canada the 51st state.
I think Donald Trump is being humorous, okay?
The president-elect doubles down and hits a nerve.
Attacking Canada and Canada's prime minister, I think, is really offensive.
Plus, Trump's team declares victory at the border. Will it be enough to avoid those tariffs? More Liberal MPs speak up, calling for Trudeau to quit.
We can't back off.
While the Prime Minister stays silent. And you're not the only one asking what all that screen time is doing to kids.
Gen Z is not in denial. They know that this is messing them up.
The push to put those phones down.
So what do we do about it then?
From CBC News, this is The National with Christine Birack.
Thanks for joining us. Adrian is away. Donald Trump is taking another swipe at Canada as his incoming administration is openly celebrating its influence over Canadian policy. Trump's team is calling Ottawa's promise to boost border security a win before the U.S. president-elect even takes office. That just hours after another social media post from Trump himself, musing that Canadians want to become the 51st state. As Katie Simpson shows us, Trump's allies in Washington see his suggestion of annexing Canada as a joke. But on the threat of crippling tariffs, they're not so sure.
Some of Donald Trump's staunchest allies in Congress laughed off the president-elect's fixation with Canada.
Donald Trump keeps talking on social media about making Canada the 51st state. I'm curious as to anyone has any insight as to why or what you might think of that.
So humor is dead. I think to the second part of the question, I think Donald Trump is being humorous, okay?
This is the latest apparent joke, posted at 3:23 in the morning. Trump mischaracterizes the trade deficit as a subsidy, adding many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it is a great idea. 51st state. All similar to claims Trump's been making for weeks.
We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state.
This is already a difficult moment in Canada-U.S. relations. The Trudeau government is desperate to appease Trump, who is demanding tougher border security, or else Canada and Mexico face 25% tariffs.
There's no daylight in terms of the objectives we share with the incoming administration.
Canada's announcement Tuesday to spend $1.3 billion on border improvements has resonated. Trump's team sending a press release victory lap saying President Trump is securing the border and he hasn't even taken office yet. While his incoming press secretary posted, President-elect Trump has done more to secure our northern border than Joe Biden has in 4 years. Incredible.
And indeed, that's what happens when you have a strong leader come in and lay down markers. And so we're really happy about that.
But even Trump's allies wonder whether he'll be satisfied.
You're asking me to read the mind of President Trump, and I will say that I support him. Will what Canada's doing be enough to prevent tariffs being imposed upon Canada? I don't know. I don't know if you guys have any insight on that, but I simply don't know.
Trump returns to the White House in about a month, and really that's when Canada will find out whether it's escaped the tariff threat for now and if this really is just another joke.
Katie, you highlighted the Trump team's press release. Sounds like a significant development.
Yes, Canada has given Trump a tangible win he can point to. We know Trump likes to brag, he likes to show off, and he wants to rack up wins before he's in office. He campaigned on making the border safe, and he can point to this as a victory. So it could be a good thing for Canada, even if it comes with all these jabs.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks. Katie Simpson in Washington. Trump's new message is also getting reaction on this side of the border. As Jamie Strachan shows us, while some are taking it with a grain of salt, others are taking the shift in tone more seriously.
I just want to ask you a quick thought on one thing. You got one sec?
Okay, all good. People on Bay Street are busy. No? Walking with purpose, no time to talk.
Have you heard about this Trump?
But ask about Donald Trump floating the idea of Canada as the 51st state.
I think it's hilarious. I think it's a joke, and I don't think anybody should be taking this seriously. Well, disappointed.
But it's gotten under the skin of many.
Insulted, absolutely. You know, we are Canadians first, and that's about it.
Trump has been publicly riffing on this idea for a few weeks. He called Prime Minister Trudeau governor after dinner at his Florida golf club. Initially dismissed as a joke, the line of humor has persisted on social media and in interviews by the president-elect.
Half of it's fake, half of it's real, and you don't know when you... I think you got to see what he does.
Trump said many Canadians share his feelings. An online poll of more than 1,500 Canadians released last week by Leger Marketing suggests that number is 13%, with a 2.5% margin of error.
I think it's a good idea. Everything will be cheaper. You'll have the right to bear arms, which you should have the right to protect yourself. Across the border, no problem.
The idea that we would become, or even contemplate for a second becoming the 51st state is offensive.
Former Quebec Premier and federal cabinet minister Jean Charest calls this all a wake-up call, a chance for Canada to redefine itself in a relationship clearly not as chummy as it once was.
We are a G7 country, we're a G20 country, we're significant, and we can play a much more significant role as opposed to just always responding to the United States.
It was an excellent conversation.
The danger, some experts say, is showing your cards too soon, reacting to a torrent of tweets designed to append and upset.
There may be something lost if you prematurely offer concessions or you decide your strategy before you know how his second administration is going to function.
But it will be different, more contentious. Those cards are already on the table. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Much will depend on who leads Canada into those negotiations with Team Trump. But Justin Trudeau's future as party leader and prime minister is an open question tonight, one that he is said to be considering. Ashley Burke shows us everything that's riding on the answer.
A capital in waiting at a time of political peril. Everything now depends on the Prime Minister's next move, and he's nowhere to be seen. Justin Trudeau's only spoken publicly twice since his finance minister's bombshell resignation. Both times to Liberal crowds.
It's obviously been an eventful day, and it has not been an easy day.
He's nodded to the crisis, but said nothing meaningful about his future as leader. He privately told caucus he'd reflect on it, and since has been making calls and seeking advice.
And you think he can survive this?
I mean, this is the question that I think he's got to reflect on. Yeah, I mean, Monday was a tough day.
On Monday, his once most trusted lieutenant called it quits. Sources say Trudeau told Chrystia Freeland on Friday she would be replaced as finance minister by former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney. But another source said at that time he hadn't agreed to the job. Freeland herself isn't hiding. After issuing her stunning resignation letter, she went to a caucus meeting, spoke with premiers, and greeted a long line of people at that same party as Trudeau.
You want Chrystia Freeland to run for leader?
Yes.
If Trudeau steps down, potential successors include Freeland, along with ministers Mélanie Joly, Anita Anand, François-Philippe Champagne, Dominic LeBlanc, and Carney.
I don't see any viable path forward with the Prime Minister staying.
15 Liberal MPs have now gone public calling on Trudeau to quit. One of them says more approach him every day about joining the cause.
Yes, there are ministers that agree with me. How do I know? Because they've told me so.
That MP says members of caucus have been trying to push Trudeau to resign, but so far it hasn't worked. Now he's calling on cabinet ministers to force that change at the very top. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now let's bring in Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton. Rosie, everybody is waiting to hear if the Prime Minister is staying on. But besides that, what are you watching for next?
Yeah, Christine, we know that the Prime Minister is making calls. He's talking to people. He's seeking advice on next steps, so he'll get to a decision at some point. But if the Prime Minister wants to buy himself some time to reflect on what's next, the first thing he needs to do is that cabinet shuffle. Remember, it was that attempt to shuffle out Chrystia Freeland that precipitated what happened this week. And because of her resignation, they're very much back to square one. This cabinet shuffle will be just to sort out the holes they have, deal with the ministers who have multiple portfolios like Dominic LeBlanc, Anita Anand, and that could sort of stabilize the government for the time being, allowing the Prime Minister to go off and reflect. But there could also be a need to hear from him, whether he has a decision or not, just to sort of reassure Canadians about what has happened this week and the state of the government.
He's faced calls to step aside before, but this certainly seems different.
You're quite right. The magnitude of what happened just 2 days ago is much, much bigger than what we've seen before. Not a group of backbenchers. This was the Deputy Prime Minister, the most serious political crisis Justin Trudeau has faced. And he's facing it as a deeply unpopular Prime Minister and as the leader of a country facing very real threats from Donald Trump of those crippling tariffs. And that's the factor that is really different and has to be considered by the Prime Minister and will mean that a decision will have to come sooner rather than later, so the country is really prepared to deal with Donald Trump in a serious way.
Thanks, Rosie. Rosemary Barton in Ottawa. The political turmoil this week and a U.S. interest rate cut continues to impact the weak loonie. Anis Hadari shows us what it means for your wallet.
Canadians at the airport don't call it nice when their dollar is worth 69 cents U.S.
Just sucks. It's become horrible the past year.
Killing us. And it's just going down, 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 down.
I do remember one time it was at par, but that was a while ago.
That was more than a decade ago. These days,
well, the dollar is definitely on a tailspin.
Experts say it's about which country may see more growth.
It always comes down to the economy. That is the number one biggest driving force of how the dollar moves. So if the expectation is that the U.S. economy and GDP will do better than Canada, money and investment will move there.
And tariff threats from Donald Trump may keep dragging down Canada's dollar.
I actually am worried or concerned, I should say, that it is going a bit weaker yet until we get, some relief on the tariff front or, some better economic news to help support the currency.
We don't know what'll be tariffed.
In the U.S., Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says he thinks their economy is doing well.
Jerome Powell is talking about a U.S. economy that is clearly outperforming, not just domestic expectations, but also the rest of the world. That means U.S. interest rates are high, and that's making, U.S. markets the best place in the world to park money.
The Canadian dollar has been dropping all year and fell again Wednesday, even after a U.S. interest rate cut. A low Canadian dollar can make imports more expensive. Think fruits and vegetables from outside Canada, though companies that sell or export in U.S. dollars can benefit. And for tourism, visitors may get more bang for their U.S. buck. Definitely something some Americans notice.
It's great. Clothes, Aritzia's 30% off. It's really good.
As for where the Canadian dollar goes next, there are forecasts it may drop even more. Think 68 cents U.S. for every loonie. That would be the lowest level in nearly a decade. Anis Hadari, CBC News, Calgary.
For the second time in just over a year, a Montreal synagogue has been targeted in an apparent arson attack. As Vanessa Lee shows, the incident reconfirms a rise in acts of anti-Semitism.
This is what members of the Jewish community of a Montreal suburb woke up to this morning. Their place of worship, the target of arson, for the second time in 14 months.
I'm sickened that there has been an attack permitted on the people who have contributed so much to this city, this province, and this country, and that there is not the political willpower to make this stop.
Police received a 911 call at around 3 a.m. reporting a fire. They were able to put it out quickly and found an incendiary device. The synagogue now reeks of smoke. Witnesses have told police they saw a suspect fleeing the scene. So far, no arrests have been made. Across the street, a Jewish advocacy group had a window broken as well.
We have the investigator of the arson unit. We also have the investigator of the hate crimes unit who are involved. Now they don't have enough information to determine if it's an hate crime or not.
Montreal police say at least 200 hate crimes and incidents targeting Jewish groups have been reported over the past year. And according to Radio-Canada sources, a woman seen making a Nazi salute during a recent protest has been arrested.
Final solution is coming your way.
Police didn't confirm the information, which is being welcomed by Jewish community groups.
Since October 7th, we've seen an unprecedented rise in anti-Semitism, and what we see today is the latest manifestation of the hate which has overtaken our communities.
Politicians at all levels are condemning the incident. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau described it as a vile anti-Semitic attack that is cowardly and criminal. Montreal Mayor Valérie Plante posted, "It is not acceptable that Montrealers live feeling unsafe because of their religion." The congregation says it will not be threatened. Daily prayers and Hanukkah celebrations will go ahead as planned. Vanessa Lee, CBC News, $des Quebec. After months of deadlock, momentum appears to be building for a potential ceasefire deal to pause fighting in Gaza and secure the release of hostages. As Briar Stewart shows us, this comes as Palestinians grow increasingly desperate for food and basic supplies.
Another scene of chaos as a crowd swarmed around a dozen aid trucks in the city of Khan Yunis. As a videographer working for CBC News captured these images, gunshots rang out in an attempt to keep people from stealing the desperately needed supplies.
Over 14 months into this war, people have known extreme deprivation, and they need everything from food and nutrition to shelter.
According to local health officials, more than 45,000 people have been killed in Gaza throughout the war. After months of misery, there are now reports that ceasefire negotiations are gaining momentum. Some Gaza residents spoke out, telling CBC News it's time for Hamas to agree to a deal.
They should give the prisoners which they have for Israel and to be a peaceful one this time.
Hamas should be in the war here and sign this agreement. Because the situation in Gaza is very bad.
There are reports that if there is a deal, it would include the gradual return of hostages in exchange for Palestinians in Israeli jails.
Bring them back, all of them, now.
Families have been making those pleas for more than a year, only to watch as talks break down.
Israel is the one.
This time, though, experts say it might be different.
Hamas now is under significant pressure from regional mediators like Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Qatar, far more than it was only a couple of months ago. At the same time, its domestic popularity is waning quite significantly.
Pressure is also mounting from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who warned there would be hell to pay if the hostages aren't released before his inauguration. But even if there is a deal, there's no clarity on just what becomes of Gaza afterwards. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
U.S. officials are confirming the first case of severe bird flu in that country. The 65-year-old patient is in Louisiana and in critical condition with major respiratory problems. It's believed the infection came from sick and dead birds in a backyard flock. Health officials maintain the risk to the general public remains low. In California, the governor has put a state of emergency in place in response to the growing number of cases in the state's dairy cattle. Well, misinformation in social media posts is showing up on India's newscasts, and some fear it's sowing more division here.
Tensions continue in Canada after the recent pro-Khalistani mob attack on Hindu devotee.
CBC News investigates how bots could be playing a part. The race to try to save a cherished tugboat.
Sitting, slanted, stuck on the bottom of the canal is a little bit of a surprise.
And the Ontario street taken over by minions.
Do you love the minions?
Yeah. We're back in 2. Talk about a sinking feeling for fans of Theodore Tugboat. The life-size replica of the beloved Canadian TV character is partially underwater at an Ontario shipyard.
Anywhere that it goes, people want to see that boat with the red hat. So seeing it like this, it's a little bit shocking.
The show ran for 8 years on CBC television and inspired the construction of the replica in 2000. About 3 years ago, Theodore Too was sold and left its home province of Nova Scotia. Rescue plans are underway. There's no word on why it started taking on water. Amid Canada's strained diplomatic relations with India, a CBC News investigation looks at how some misinformation can be amplified online. Jonathan Montpetit shows us how suspected bot accounts help spread it.
Balwinder Singh hosts a local radio show from his basement in Brampton, Ontario. His Punjabi-speaking listeners often call in about Indian politics. And he says he's noticed a recent rise in tensions between Hindus and Sikhs.
I feel unsafe, and many people do.
He thinks misinformation on social media is driving it, especially about the Sikh separatist movement and diaspora.
As if these two communities are separate communities, and people who belong to Hindus, for example, that they should feel endangered by the Sikhs and vice versa.
We examined several hundred posts on X made in November by both critics and supporters of the Khalistan separatist movement. We found that both sides make unverified claims, but posts critical of the Khalistan movement were much more frequently amplified by suspected bot accounts. This post falsely claims Sikhs taking part in a religious event were marching around Surrey, saying they own Canada. The post went viral, boosted by retweets from nearly 500 suspected bot accounts. The misinformation then became the topic of several news stories in India.
Tensions continue in Canada after the recent pro-Khalistani mob attack on Hindu devotees.
Khalistani synthesizers Brinsley has termed Canadians invaders and asked them to leave Canada.
Daniel Boardman is a journalist with the right-wing National Telegraph. He authored the viral post.
Do some bots retweet me? Sure. But I don't think bots are that significant in the outreach they have.
But Singh says he's worried misinformation will drive a wedge between two communities that coexist peacefully in Canada.
I think that is something very dangerous because as we always say that Canada has been known for safety, always.
It's not clear from our analysis who is controlling the bots, but Canada's National Security Committee has said it believes the Indian government uses media manipulation as a form of political meddling. Jonathan Montpetit, CBC News, Montreal.
France is about to deliver a long-awaited verdict in a case that's shocked the world.
This is the worst that a man can do to a woman, and in fact 50+ men do to a woman.
Why the woman at the center of this case decided to reveal her identity. And an urgent warning about the impact social media is having on kids.
Before you know it, your kids are being raised and influenced by weirdos selected by an algorithm for their extremity.
Why that phone could be setting them back. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world next.
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now.
You're looking at one of the newest members of the Order of Canada, Ryan Reynolds, who as a Hollywood actor, writer, producer, entrepreneur, has never forgotten his Canadian roots, especially with his charity work.
I grew up here and I want it to be better.
Also among the 88 names announced today by the Governor General, author Maureen Jennings.
It's wonderful. It's unbelievable, actually. It's hard to kind of absorb it.
I wouldn't disagree, George.
The creator of 19th century Toronto police detective William Murdoch never expected him to have such reach.
Never crossed my mind.
The TV series Murdoch Mysteries, 18 seasons and counting. An Indigenous community on the Canada-U.S. border is about to lose its only newspaper. The Indian Time has been reporting on Akwesasne territory for decades. Jorge Barrera shows us the impact of that loss.
Is this it?
Yep, that's
Volume 1, July 1st, 1983.
After over 40 years, Indian Time, the newspaper covering Akwesasne, an Indigenous territory on the Canada-U.S. border, is closing. Final edition, Thursday.
The American Legion honors veterans November 11th, 2024. As I was standing there and it was freezing out and taking photos, I realized that I wouldn't be doing this anymore. Alex Jacob, Daniel Thompson, they both started this paper.
For the first time since the 1960s, no newspaper will record history in the Haudenosaunee community.
This is of 4 brothers The Phillips brothers are local heroes who served in, I think, one in the Navy, one in the Army, one in Korea, one in World War II, and maybe one in Vietnam. It's our history all right here.
Look at the Mohawk Mothers thing.
Stephen Bonspiel's Eastern Door covers the sister Mohawk communities of Ganawagi and Ganesadage. He worries about the news hole in Akwesasne.
Who's going to come forward to replace that? Doesn't look like anybody, because nobody wants to take on print in this day and age. You know, there's so many things against journalists. They're being attacked, they're being targeted, you know, fake news and all this stuff. Here's the app.
Bert Crowfoot turned Windspeaker into a famed national Indigenous paper in 1990 when federal funding cuts ended 9 Indigenous newspapers.
Whenever an Indigenous voice for the community closes its doors, it's a loss.
Look at what's on issue 2 on the cover. PCBs.
Reporter Isaac White has been arrested covering land claims protest, and he exposed election troubles during his time at the paper.
It's a connection to home. I know that my byline will be here forever, so at least, you know, in some small way, I've been a part of this.
But no new additions will continue charting the story of Akwesasne. Jorge Barrera, CBC News, Akwesasne Territory.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. The Anxious Generation, a bestseller, sparks wide debate. How deeply is technology affecting the mental health of our kids?
This counts to me as one of the biggest public health emergencies we've ever had.
The great rewiring of childhood. But first, Gisèle Pelicot's dignity after her ex-husband's serial degradation. This week, they learn his fate after a trial into accusations that he drugged her and invited men to rape her for years. Ellen Moreau shows how the case has forced a reckoning over rape culture in France and turned Madame Pelicot into a symbol of courage and heroism.
To a case that has sent shockwaves through France.
And at the center of it, a 72-year-old mother and grandmother.
Gisèle Pelicot could have remained hidden, but she demanded to be seen. Not only rejecting her right to anonymity, but insisting the depraved videos of the horrors she unknowingly endured in her own home played publicly in court. Pelicot, now a feminist icon, for using her private torment to stand up for other victims of sexual abuse. It's not easy, Pelicot says, but of course, we'll have to fight to the end. Here's how this once ordinary woman forced an extraordinary moment of reckoning for French society.
She made it so that the men who raped her and her ex-husband were the ones who felt shameful, or at least were shamed by the public debate, and not her as a victim. She made shame change sides.
The horrifying case starts in the picturesque south of France, where Pelicot thought she was living a normal life with her then husband of 50 years, Dominique. That illusion shattered when Dominique was caught filming up women's skirts. Police then searched the couple's home, uncovering a trove of images showing Pelicot unconscious, being raped and abused. About 200 attacks by dozens of men, investigators say, over nearly 10 years.
It's almost unsayable what she went through.
Dominique admitted to drugging Pelicot with a prescription medication, advertising her online, inviting men into the couple's bedroom to assault her while she was heavily sedated. In court, Pelicot watched video after video showing her limp body defiled over and over by the accused, sitting just feet away. Her husband calling her vile slurs while filming the assaults.
The things she's going through are humiliating on a scale I don't think we have ever seen in the modern age in terms of like public humiliation. I don't know how she sat through some of the discussions about the very graphic detail of what the men did to her. It must have been completely disgusting.
Drugged, Pelicot had no awareness of the attacks. She's now forced to live with several sexually transmitted diseases. The shock of the rapes themselves deepened by the men accused of carrying them out. 50 of them on trial alongside Dominique. Young, old, most with ordinary jobs and ordinary lives, some married with children and grandchildren.
The defense given by these men about why they were there in that room, penetrating, raping Gisèle Pelicot was so extraordinary. There were things like, yeah, I've got a lot of testosterone in my system. My body was raping her, but I wasn't. Or I had the consent of her husband, but that was the important thing, not the consent of the woman.
French law makes no reference to consent, and there's a low conviction rate for rape cases. The trial has triggered a wave of protests across the country, igniting a reckoning over attitudes toward rape and women. Rapists are people we know, this protester says. It's in our families. It's our spouses, fathers, colleagues. Supporters have gathered at the court, applauding Pelicot every day throughout the harrowing months-long trial. Rape cases like this, rarely ever so public. For all the women who want to lodge a complaint and haven't, this woman says, there will indeed be a before and after Madame Pelicot. Pelicot has said she may never be able to rebuild her own life, but her mission now is greater, determined, she says, to create change.
And our Sarah Levitt sat down with Gisèle Pelicot's lawyer in France, where he spoke about the toll this trial has taken and how she overcame her shame to go public with her story.
How is Madame Pelicot?
She's very tired because she has been participating in this trial for 3 months and a half by now. She's relieved to see that the process is reaching its end, and also I think that she feels confident in the court to take the right decision. At least she has the feeling that she did everything she could to try to explain what happened to her. I think that mostly she is really relieved that it's almost over.
Can you tell me a bit about your journey with her?
It's been a very, I would say, very rich journey, because we could have never imagined what happened, discovering what happened to her on the 2nd of November 2020. It was probably the biggest shock in her life, but now it was a different kind of test that was coming, having to lock herself in the same room as her aggressors, listen to their voices for the first time, accepting to see an unbelievable level of her private life being revealed to the public in a very hard to imagine way.
What was your counsel to her when she said, I want to waive my anonymity?
Well, at first, Mrs. Pelicot really was considering a closed-door hearing. She felt ashamed at first, really ashamed, and she understands that this is probably the most natural feeling for a victim of this kind of abuse. But at the same time, she wanted to send the message that it's not for the victims to be ashamed, because they didn't do anything wrong. When she took the decision to open the trial to the public, she did it because she felt that it was necessary for the public to understand what happened to her. She never did it because she wanted attention. She also believed that the fact to open the doors of the courtroom could empower other women to do the same.
Did you ever expect this trial to get the attention it has, not just in France, but worldwide?
No, not at all. It really came as a big surprise, but it's not such a big surprise because it simply means that the questions that are addressed in this trial are universal questions. The relationships between men and women, the patriarchy, representations that men grow up with, all these questions are universal. In 2024, still, many of the accused told the court that they believed that there could be no rape because the husband was in agreement with what was happening and that, in fact, he had invited them to come. We were preparing Gisèle Pelicot for what would be one of the most difficult periods of her life. But she never stopped to surprise us because she's very resilient, she's very focused, courageous, but she's mostly very humble.
And we're expecting to hear directly from Gisèle Pelicot herself after the verdict. Next, a psychologist is urging parents to take their kids' phones away.
This is not like television. This is much more powerful.
How all that screen time is harming our kids. Concerns over kids and phones have been growing for almost as long as mobile devices have existed.
Just the addictive default. Oh, I don't know how to do this problem right away. It's just to my phone.
Author Jonathan Haidt claims technology and social media have rewired our children's brains and taken a heavy toll on their mental health.
But they use it because they're trapped.
The social psychologist spoke with The Current's Matt Galloway about his blockbuster book, The Anxious Generation, and the dangers of a childhood spent on screens.
This is one of those books, I mean, it's a sensation, and it's a book that parents talk about, it's a book that teachers talk about, it is a book that leaders of governments talk about. Why do you think this struck such a chord?
Because it crept up on us that somehow family life around the developed world has turned into a fight over screen time. We're all struggling with this. When I was a kid, parents struggled with television. It's 100 times harder now. And because adults are so fed up with it, and because we've all seen it, if not in our own kids, we've seen the anxiety, the pulling into a shell, the craziness. What people have to understand is that this is very different from television. A television set was entertaining, but a television couldn't train you. It didn't reward certain responses. Whereas a touch screen is very good at giving you a stimulus, you make a response, you touch, and then you get a reward. That's how you train a dog, that's how you train a circus elephant, and that's how you train a child. And so people have to understand this is not like television. This is much more powerful.
Is there a sense that we don't know anymore what it means to be a child?
I think we've forgotten the active role that we all need to play in it. We think that our job is to just keep them safe. We want to protect them from threats. But that's actually kind of wrong because they need to take risks. And so we're overprotecting them in the real world. But then at the same time, we've abandoned our kids to grow up online, which is completely inappropriate for them. That kids are looking for influence. That's what human childhood is about, is you're developing skills in play, but you're also looking for role models. You're copying the kids who are a little older. You're copying the adults, some of the adults. And we've stopped being good role models for them. Instead, we say, okay, fine, you're 10. You say all your friends have a phone and Instagram. Okay, go ahead. Here's a phone and Instagram. And before you know it, your kids are being raised and influenced by weirdos selected by an algorithm for their extremity.
There's a study that you cite that found that a typical adolescent gets 237 notifications in a day, 15 notifications every hour. What does that do to a childhood? I mean, you've called this attention fracking in some ways.
So fracking is where you drill down, you do things to break up the rock, and that allows you to suck out little bits of oil from every nook and cranny. And that's what the companies have done, especially TikTok and Meta. Those two companies, plus Snapchat, they now largely own the attention and cognition and consciousness of young human children, certainly in America and Canada. And these three companies in particular, we know from leaks, we know from recovered documents that there are all these lawsuits where we're getting out all these quotes from their own reports, their own memos. They set out to do this.
I mean, those documents came out showing the impact of social media, in particular on young girls. We talk a lot about that when it comes to body image and self-esteem. In the book, you write about boys as well. Mm-hmm. How has social media affected boys differently than girls?
So for girls, the story focuses on social media and what it has done to them, the endless social comparisons, the perfectionism, the sexual comments and sexual harassment. The boys' story is focused on checking out of the real world into an exciting world online where you get to do the two things that are of greatest interest to teenage boys, which are war and sex. But now war and sex are effortless and they're amazing. I mean, the porn available to boys today is so powerful and so erotic compared to Playboy or whatever we had in the old days. And the war is so amazing and graphic and fun and exciting. But they're not actually developing any skills doing this. In fact, it renders them less able, I would say, to actually have a relationship with a girl and maybe someday, even get married. It renders them less able to work with people, to manage their lives in the real world, to manage risk. So boys are really checking out. They're not as likely now to go to college. They're not as likely to move out of their parents' home. So what we're doing with boys is we're just losing vast quantities of male potential. So let's look at where we are. We have a public health emergency. It broke out in 2012 in multiple countries, many countries around the world. There is no other explanation. There's no other theory on the table.
That's what you think this is? You think this is a public health emergency?
Oh, yes. When you have the depression rate going up 50 to 100%, you have the suicide rate is up 50%, in the U.S. at least. Education has been declining in America since 2012, not since COVID. So we have an enormous destruction of mental health, happiness, and education. This counts to me as one of the biggest public health emergencies we've ever had. The people who know the most about what's happening are the companies themselves. They're the only ones who have the data. And we know from all the leaks and memos that have been obtained, they know what they're doing. They see the mental health problems they're causing. So that's evidence. The perpetrators actually admit to what they're doing. That's evidence. The people who know the next most about this are the kids. And the kids see what's happening. The kids are not in denial. Gen Z is not in denial. They know that this is messing them up, and the parents all see it. See if you can find me parents who say, oh, my kid was shy and withdrawn, and then we gave her a phone and Instagram, and she really came out of her shell. I have not heard that story.
So what do we do about it then? Australia's banned social media for those under 16. There are questions as to whether this is actually going to work, whether you can properly age gate it. But is that the kind of step that you want to see?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Because the key to understanding how this got so far so fast, and the key to understanding why so many parents and teachers feel powerless, is that if you try to solve the problem on your own, it's really, really hard. If you're the only teacher who really tries hard to be a phone policeman, then the students resent you for it. So everyone gives up, and we get the status quo. We have to change the norms. The first norm is no smartphone before high school or age 14. Just you can give your kid a flip phone if you want to text with them or a phone watch, but do not give them a supercomputer that allows the entire world to reach them until at least they're partway through early puberty. The second is no social media until 16. Social media is wildly inappropriate for minors. The sex, the violence, the sexual solicitation and harassment, the exposure to all kinds of influencers of ill repute. So just raise the age to 16. And Australia has taken the lead. They're doing the bold effort to just say, we've had it. It's up to the companies to do this. So Canadian listeners, please, if your child can take a phone into school, get together, go to the school and say, we got to change this. We've got to go phone free the way they're doing all over the USA, all over the UK, all over Australia. We got to do this.
Is it possible? I mean, is the horse not already long gone? The barn is way behind us and this technology is out and there's nothing we can do about it.
It's true that the technology is out, but if there was a train leaving the station and it had all of our kids on it, and it was headed for a bridge over a canyon that we knew the bridge was out, what are we going to do? Say, oh, well, the train's left the station. What are we going to do? We would call ahead. We'd have somebody block the track. We'd try to get him in. I mean, even if the train has left the station, we would call it back. And that's what Australia has done. America's done nothing. We'll see. We have the Kids Online Safety Act is being considered. It's probably going to die. So America's done nothing. We might never do anything. So the rest of the world has to act because we created the monster and we can't tame it.
It's hard.
It is hard. Yeah. It is hard, but it's a lot easier if we act together, and that's the key thing. And push your legislators to do something to protect children from this, because America is not going to do anything.
And Haidt says he's seen the anxiety firsthand, citing the time his 6-year-old daughter asked him to take the iPad away. She was trying to take her eyes off it and just couldn't. Next, a despicable display.
We have a lot of minions. 8 more in the garage. And so I knocked on the doors and said, you want 3 minions? And they all said yes.
The Minion-themed Christmas in our moment. These rows of holiday minions are just a fraction in one Ontario neighborhood. It started with David Robertson, who kept buying minions until his lawn was too full. So he got his neighbors involved, and tonight, the Despicable Me decor is our moment.
85% of what you see is from the States. All the big ones are from the States. We have a lot of minions, 8 more in the garage. And so I knocked on the doors and said, "You want 3 minions?" And they all said yes.
Do you love the minions?
Yeah, just like that. When Dave came knocking on the door and asked if we'd like some this year, we had to say yes. Dave set it all up himself, and he comes and checks on them and wipes the snow off.
We've had people from Uxbridge, Markham, Mississauga, Brampton, Brantford, Hamilton, so they come from all over.
We're really excited to just be on the street and be a part of it.
And people who drive by can also tune into that transmitter radio and hear the choir of minions singing Christmas tunes. Sound a little odd and yet festive. Thank you for being with us. I'm Christine Virak. Take care.